Origins of Tlaloc. In the shadows of ancient Mexico, before the first Spanish boot touched its soil, there existed a deity so powerful that even the mere whisper of his name could make the skies tremble. Tlaloc, a name that echoes through time like distant thunder. They say he emerged from the depths of Mexico's earliest civilizations, long before the Aztecs claimed him as their own. The Olmecs and Teotihuacans knew him first, painting his fierce visage on their walls, his goggled eyes and fanged teeth striking fear and awe into all who beheld them. But why such fearsome features? Legend tells that his eyes were formed from two coiled serpents, while his fangs were meant to pierce the clouds themselves, releasing the life-giving rain to the world below. Power and domain. But Tlaloc was no mere rainmaker. Picture, if you will, a god who commanded not just gentle showers, but the very fury of nature itself. Lightning was his spear, thunder his voice, and the clouds his army. From his celestial throne, he wielded power over every drop of water that fell from the heavens. With a mere gesture, he could bring forth devastating floods or life-sustaining rainfall. Farmers would wake each morning, their eyes turned skyward, wondering whether Tlaloc's mood would bring prosperity or destruction. He was the master of Tlalocan, the paradise where those who died by water would find eternal peace. Drowning victims, those struck by lightning, even those felled by waterborne diseases. Tlaloc's dwelling place. High above the mortal realm, Tlaloc made his home in the mist-shrouded peaks of Mexico's tallest mountains. These weren't just any mountains. They were living vessels of his power. The ancient peoples believed that these peaks were actually giant jars, divine containers holding the waters of the world. When Tlaloc wished to release rain, he would strike these jars with his lightning staff, creating thunder and releasing the precious water within. Mount Tlaloc, standing proud near modern-day Mexico City, became his most sacred dwelling. Even today, archaeological evidence shows ancient pilgrimage paths where priests would climb to the summit, bearing offerings and prayers for rain. Weapons of weather. In his arsenal, Tlaloc wielded 4 divine tools, each more terrifying than the last. His lightning staff, crafted from celestial fire, could split the sky itself. The sacred axe, said to carve channels in the clouds for rain to flow. His water jar, an endless source of both life and destruction. But most feared was his rain of fire, hail infused with lightning that could destroy entire harvests in moments. These weren't just weapons, they were instruments of balance. Each had its purpose in maintaining the delicate cycle of water that sustained all life. Even in his most destructive moments, Tlaloc's actions served a greater purpose, the continuation of life itself. Sacred animals and symbols. Tlaloc's power manifested through his sacred animals, the serpent, representing lightning and the flow of water, the jaguar, whose roar echoed his thunder, and the owl, whose nighttime calls heralded coming storms. His most recognizable symbol, though, was his goggled eyes, formed from coiled snakes, which would later inspire the design of modern Mexican art and architecture. Water lilies and herons became his earthly emblems, appearing in countless ancient artworks. The color blue, representing water and sky, became so sacred to him that priests would paint their skin blue during rituals, believing it would curry his favor. Temples and tributes. The Aztecs built him a temple so grand it would make modern architects weep. The great temple of Tenochtitlan housed Tlaloc's shrine alongside that of Huitzilopochtli, the war god. But the price of his favor was high, desperately high. During droughts, children would be sacrificed, their tears believed to please Tlaloc and bring rain. Their parents would force them to cry before the sacrifice, believing their tears were precious offerings to the rain god. The temple's walls were adorned with jade, turquoise, and blue paint, creating an otherworldly atmosphere that must have struck awe into all who enter. Even today, remnants of these magnificent structures remind us of the power Tlaloc once held over the hearts and minds of an entire civilization. Tales of wrath. Perhaps the most chilling tale of Tlaloc's power comes from the great drought that struck the Aztec Empire. For 4 years, the sky remained a merciless blue, crops withered, and lakes dried to dust. The people grew desperate, offering more and more sacrifices, but Tlaloc remained silent. Some say he was punishing the Aztecs for their arrogance. Others believe he was testing their faith. When the rain finally returned, it came with such force that it nearly destroyed everything. This event became known as Tlaloc's Revenge, a reminder that his power could both save and destroy. Battle with Quetzalcoatl. One of the most epic tales in Aztec mythology tells of the cosmic battle between Tlaloc and Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent god. Their conflict wasn't just about power. It was about the very nature of creation itself. Quetzalcoatl, representing wind and wisdom, challenged Tlaloc's dominion over the skies. Their battle raged for days, with storms and winds clashing in supernatural combat. The outcome, a stalemate that established the eternal cycle of seasons, a time for rain and a time for wind, a balance that continues to this day. Spanish Conquest. When the Spanish conquistadors arrived, they brought with them not just weapons and disease, but a new god who claimed dominion over all others. Tlaloc's temples were torn down, his statues shattered, his priests silenced. Yet, something remarkable happened. He didn't disappear entirely. Instead, Tlaloc's influence seeped into the very culture of Mexico, like water into soil. Today, his image can still be found in art, architecture, and the stories passed down through generations. In some remote villages, when thunder rolls across the mountains, elderly villagers still whisper his name, Tlaloc, the god who brought both life and death through the power of rain. Perhaps Tlaloc's greatest legacy isn't in the grand temples or dramatic tales, but in something far more fundamental, our relationship with water itself. In an age of climate change and environmental crisis, his message about respecting the power of nature resonates more strongly than ever. The ancient god of rain may no longer receive sacrifices, but his story reminds us of a timeless truth, that water, whether it brings life or destruction, remains one of the most powerful forces on Earth. And somewhere, in the storm clouds gathering over Mexico's mountains, perhaps Tlaloc is still watching, his serpent eyes gleaming with ancient wisdom.